In many tales the hero is an adventurer, yet we often forget who actually puts the sharp weapons in their hands. While their legends form the base of every journey, these creators are almost never mentioned in famous fairy tales. Hidden away and overshadowed by the main leads, this man works hard while sparks fly from his heavy hammer. This is the story of a blacksmith in a place called Vulcania that is currently being consumed by a massive fire. Standing before the flames, the 8th Legion commander notes that the village hasn't been fully conquered just yet. Massive wooden rams smash against the city gates because the defenses are reaching their absolute breaking point. Deep inside the building, the ceiling shakes violently as dust falls from the intense impact of the enemy outside. Looking around, we see a room filled with wounded people lying on the floor while others try to survive the chaos. Placing a hand against the cold wall, a man shares that they finally received some news from the great empire. With a look of despair, he explains that they are alone since the high-ranking officials escaped a long time ago. Although the nation abandoned them long ago, the group wonders what the Demon King's army will do to them next. The bearded man mentions the enemy will spare their lives if they forge weapons but will kill everyone if they refuse. Refusing to help the monsters, he scoffs at the idea of surrender and tells the others they can just choke on it. Looking at the injured survivors, he reminds them that they were all prepared to die from the very beginning. Down below, a small hand tightly grips the fabric of a shirt as someone listens to the grim fate of the village. Looking worried, the young girl whispers for her father to stay by her side during this scary moment. Placing a hand on her head, the man tells Yuta to stay hidden and remain completely silent no matter what happens. Sitting on the floor, the blacksmith explains that their ancient forging tradition is the heart of their entire people. Standing nearby, a warrior reminds everyone that they are the ones who create the weapons needed to fight monsters. Walking toward the bright light outside, the brave workers prepare to face the harsh reality waiting for them. Suddenly, a mysterious screen appears telling the kid to carry on the strong will of her disappearing village. Crashing through the giant wooden gates, the enemies break inside while leaving a trail of pure destruction behind. Holding a massive hammer, the father stands tall in front of his friends while fire burns everything in sight. Facing a scary monster, the hero says they might break but will never bend to any evil creature trying to rule them. Pointing his finger, the demon commander orders his soldiers to take down every single person who refuses to give up. Shining under the gray sky, a sharp spear moves fast through the air as the deadly battle finally starts for real. Screaming with all their might, the villagers charge forward because they prefer to fight rather than become slaves. Swinging his heavy tool, the brave man leads the attack and shouts for the fools of Vulcania to move out of his way. Chaos takes over the battlefield where hammers and swords clash against the claws of the terrifying invaders. Watching from afar, the small girl cries out for her dad as she runs through the smoke while tears fall down her face. A giant demon with glowing red eyes attacks a group of soldiers while swinging a massive blade. Shouting at the top of his lungs, this blacksmith tells everyone to remember his words during the chaos. Declaring their pride as craftsmen, the man falls down while the enemy continues the brutal assault. Watching the scene from a distance, the young girl stays quiet and looks completely frozen in fear. Standing alone in the middle of the battlefield, she sees that everyone around her has been defeated. Recalling a happier time, she remembers her friends and family smiling together before everything changed. Looking at them now, the girl realizes that her loved ones are gone and she is the only survivor. Staring at the ground, she sees the remains of her family right next to the boots of the monster. With her eyes glowing a bright orange, the kid shows a mix of intense sadness and growing anger. Lying on the dirt, the red-haired man looks up one last time as his life slowly fades away. Laughing at the situation, the villain notices that one small child is still alive among the ruins. Standing like a mountain, the dark creature mocks the girl because she no longer has anyone to protect her. Reaching out with a massive hand, the demon grabs the girl by her head and begins to squeeze hard. Lifting the child off the ground, the monster watches as she struggles to escape his powerful grip. Feeling the pressure on her skull, the girl lets out a cry of pain while her vision starts to blur. A scary voice tells a young kid to celebrate because he survived but must now serve a dark army forever. Looking at the destroyed village, the monster claims that the boy is now the new blacksmith for his legion. Inside the dark domain of the Demon King, we see a forge where slaves are forced to work day and night. Sparks fly as metal gets hammered and sharpened into deadly tools while the heat fills the entire room. Wearing protective goggles, the young protagonist focuses on his task of making gear for the enemy forces. 10 years have gone by since that terrible day and the red-haired girl is still stuck in that same workshop. Gurencia Yuta is the only survivor from her village and she just finished another piece of slave labor. Dropping her goggles, she feels exhausted because she is just a tool used to pump out endless weapons. Looking at her scarred face, the girl wonders if this boring repetitive task can even be called real craft. Suddenly a deep voice demands a report, which makes the girl turn around quickly with a worried look. A massive demon commander appears while carrying the body of a fallen comrade and towers over the worker. This creature named Pix was a loyal soldier who died in a fight against the hero during a recent battle. Realizing where her supplies come from, the girl stares at the dead beast that will become her next project. The cold commander orders the girl to dismantle the body and turn the remains into a brand new weapon. Showing her scars, the girl simply agrees to the dark task because she has no other choice but to obey. Forced to work in a dark place, the red-haired girl spends her time tearing apart bodies of dead monsters daily. Holding a sharp dagger, the young worker uses her skills to survive while feeling like a useless piece of equipment. Using the secret arts from her hometown, the captive is forced to craft powerful gear for her worst enemies. Because she feels miserable after another day, she wonders if it would have been better to just give up back then. While lowering heavy materials into the hot furnace, the blacksmith cannot stop thinking about her past and family. Looking at the collar on her neck, the girl remembers how her village chose to fight instead of giving up. Since she desperately wishes to escape the dark forge, the prisoner sees a strange light appearing on the ceiling. Startled by a massive explosion, a bright beam of energy crashes down and fills the entire room with dust. Coughing because of the smoke, a blonde girl appears and complains about how messy the workplace looks. Resting on the ground, the newcomer looks around with confusion and asks why there is a human in this place. Terrified by the sudden arrival, the red-haired girl covers her face and asks what kind of creature just arrived. Standing far away from the visitor, the worker asks for a name, but the blonde girl just looks back and smiles. Thinking for a moment, the mysterious girl closes her eyes and prepares to give a very dramatic answer. Striking a confident pose, the stranger claims to be a new hero from the next generation, which shocks the blacksmith. Inside the castle, the demon king hears reports about the human slave while sitting on his giant throne. The demon explains that the girl has a special bloodline and only those related to her can handle the skill. Normal iron is easy to use, but these monster bodies are dangerous because they can melt or explode at any moment. Every body reacts differently based on traits, and this makes the forging process very risky for anyone else. However, she has unique eyes that let her see these dangers and avoid them before anything bad happens. Having such a worker is a huge deal because it means they can make tons of weapons for the demon army. All the other talented crafters died in the war, and now the commanders need to know about this new girl. Her lineage is incredibly rare and valuable in this dark place where everyone else has failed. The monster thinks the captive should just stay in her place and keep making gear from the remains of the fallen. Looking confused, the redhead asks if the person sitting in front of her is actually the famous hero. The blonde adventurer smiles while explaining that people just started calling her by that title recently. Suddenly, the prisoner gets super excited and asks about the materials used to make those shiny blades. She notices the amazing quality and wonders who could have created such perfect weapons with that method. While the blonde says they came from a simple shop, the blacksmith starts licking the metal to check the balance. Seeing this weird behavior, the traveler thinks the girl is totally out of her mind for acting so crazy. The slave explains she was taken as a kid and had to study hard so the commanders would not finish her off. Staring at the glowing blade, the red-haired girl feels amazed while thinking about a place where legendary smiths live. Offering a hand, the blonde woman promises to take her away from this place and lead her to that famous road. Confused by the sudden offer, the young worker looks at her savior and wonders why she would say something so bold. Standing tall, the mysterious lady says that making weapons here should not be the only reason for the girl to stay alive. With a small smile, the visitor explains that she knows there is a much bigger purpose behind all that hard work. Remembering a past lesson, she recalls her master saying that people who survive hellish times are truly special. While looking at the horizon, the girl realizes that survivors either have a clear goal or are searching for one. Turning back to the redhead, the warrior asks if she actually has a secret reason to keep pushing through the pain. During the difficult old days, the group was told to keep living even when things became tough for everyone. Feeling quite sad, the small child remembers being told to pass down the secret craft to the next generation. Since there is no rush, the blonde says that staying still is the only real failure for someone with talent. Suddenly, a loud sound shakes the entire room, making the girl jump in surprise as dust falls from the ceiling. Turning her head toward the door, the traveler calls the newcomer a noisy guest and seems annoyed by the interruption. Breaking into the area, a massive demon with horns demands to know what is happening with his slaves right now. Angrily, the monster stares at the visitor and asks if she is the famous hero that everyone is talking about. Shouting loudly, the massive demon asks how the girl entered this place while being extremely angry at her. Smiling back, the blonde warrior says they can catch up later after she deals with the giant monster. Gleaming brightly, the sharp blade reflects the light as the upcoming battle begins to heat up quickly. Pulling out her weapons, the brave adventurer prepares to strike down the beast standing in her path. Asking if he is ready, she gives a confident look and prepares to show off her incredible combat skills. Charging forward, the fighter moves with extreme speed while the enemy tries to track her fast movements. Clashing their weapons together, the two powerful beings create a shockwave that surprises the nearby smith. Taunting him, she mentions how she destroyed his entire 8th Legion a long time ago with total ease. Gritting his teeth, the commander yells that she is the reason he got kicked to this terrible forge post. Sliding back, the blonde girl keeps her distance while the monster prepares a very dangerous counterattack. Swinging his massive tail, the demon reveals a spinning blade that cuts through everything in its way. Noticing the new trick, she realizes his tail now has a rotating saw, which makes him even more deadly. Moving her feet quickly, the agile hero dodges the incoming strike before the blade can even touch her. Swinging her heavy sword, she laughs because even a strong attack is useless if it never hits the target. Jumping through the air, the girl looks like she is flying while the blacksmith watches her amazing fight. Watching the intense fight, the red-haired girl is totally shocked by what she sees. Feeling useless because of her change, she compares her weak self to the amazing fighter. Meanwhile, the blonde warrior dives through the air to land a heavy blow on the monster. Grunting in frustration, the huge demon realizes his new tail technique is not doing anything. Gripping the handle of her blade with both hands, the knight prepares for the next exchange. Moving like a blur, she spins around the enemy and avoids a dangerous counterattack. Looking very angry, the beast grits his teeth while trying to keep up with her speed. Laughing out loud, the hero mocks the monster by saying he could never hope to hit her. Stomping her foot on the ground, she uses the momentum to launch herself forward again. Trying to stay steady, the giant opponent plants his feet firmly to avoid being knocked over. Activating her secret power, she uses the northern hunting arts to increase her combat strength. Responding with his own dark magic, the demon summons the Iron Talon skill to burn everything. Clashing together with maximum power, their special moves create a massive explosion of light. Swinging their weapons at high speeds, both fighters create sparks and flames everywhere. Watching the battle closely, the prisoner notices that the hero is finally starting to lose ground. Facing a huge explosion, the warrior holds a massive blade while preparing for the next move of the battle. Deep in thought, she realizes that staying on the defense will never change the outcome of this fight. Slowly moving her fingers, the girl decides it is time to rise up and shatter reality for a better future. Proudly standing with glowing eyes, she claims that attacking is the only way to succeed right now. With a fast strike, the blonde fighter sends several blue energy projectiles directly at the giant beast. Through the air, these glowing weapons look like sharp daggers made of pure magical power. After striking the enemy body, the magical blades hit the target with great force and stop its movements. Stuck on the surface, one of the small daggers releases a strange blue spark while staying in place. While stuttering in shock, the demon wonders if that first attack was just a trick to land these paralysis tools. Joyfully smiling, the young lady says that the big guy will have a lot of trouble moving from now on. As she walks past the fallen foe, the blonde explains that relying only on a sword creates many openings. From the floor, the creature grins while asking if she forgot about the dangerous place where they are right now. Around the room, the villain mentions that many subordinates are arriving to help him very soon. Completely calm, the girl tells the monster not to worry because she has everything under control. Upon watching the new group of demons, she welcomes her lovely disciple to the middle of the chaotic mess. Looking determined, the hooded girl says that her ally has likely finished off the enemies already. Hearing the weird compliment, the blonde girl asks if she really called her a lovely disciple. Carrying a giant monster head, the warrior complains that her master only gives her the hardest jobs. Pinned to the floor, the demon boss demands that his slave remove the weapon immediately. Running quickly, the red-haired girl obeys the command while looking very nervous. Approaching with a sneaky smile, the blonde calls out to the girl who works as a blacksmith. Warning her about the future, the mysterious lady says that staying the same means being stuck forever. Focusing on her tools, the stranger asks the girl what her real purpose for living actually is. Remembering the past, the worker sees images of people telling her to carry on their legacy. Thinking deeply, the girl realizes she truly wants to understand the meaning of those old words. Standing tall before her master, the servant decides that things have to change right now. Turning her back on her past life, the girl prepares to make a major decision. Grabbing the magical chains with her bare hands, she feels the heat of the burning metal. Shattering the bonds, the girl declares that this is the first step toward her new destiny. Terrified by the sudden rebellion, the master screams at the girl and asks if she wants to die. Holding the heavy hammer tightly, the red-haired girl refuses to be called by anything other than her real name. Shouting with all his might, the blacksmith reminds everyone of their true identity while swinging his tool. Creating a massive shockwave, the strike from the hammer shows the power of the Gorencia Yuta bloodline. Standing amidst the rising smoke, the young girl looks toward her opponent after that incredible display. Looking down with a serious expression, the warrior addresses the girl by calling her a hero. Smiling confidently, the blonde woman admits that the girl's strength is much greater than she expected. Feeling uncertain about her path, the blacksmith wonders if she actually has what it takes to succeed. Giving some friendly advice, the blonde warrior tells her to stop doubting and find friends to walk with. Touching her sword, the woman explains that enjoying your own skills is the secret to becoming the strongest. Offering a new opportunity, the traveler asks if the girl wants to be taken to the legendary Blacksmith Road. Remembering a promise from the past, her old master once told her that he would take her to that city one day. Shedding a single tear, the girl feels the weight of those memories as they flood back into her mind. Making a big decision, she looks up and begs the blonde woman to lead her to that special place for smiths. Looking at the dark workshop, she realizes that her life should no longer be spent forging while in chains. Thinking about the future, the girl chooses to live a life where she only crafts what her heart truly desires. Starting with an agreement, the blonde woman asks the young blacksmith Yuta to follow her for a new journey. Passing through the clouds, we see that exactly 1 year has gone by since that specific moment. Standing on a cliff, a mysterious hooded figure watches the horizon while the wind blows around them. Long before the skeletal herald appeared, a dark warrior descended from the mountains to start a massive war. Looking at a glowing blue gem, the scarred girl mentions how greedy elders would love to steal her treasure. Suddenly, a huge army of terrifying monsters appears from the dust to attack everyone in their path. Excited by the chaos, the red-haired woman calls the creatures test subjects and asks her friend for a plan. Holding a magical blue trident, she smiles and says the answer is obvious since they need to fight back. Jumping into action, the fighter spins her weapon to summon a massive wave of glowing water against the enemies. Unleashing her maximum firepower, she creates a giant whirlpool that consumes everything in its way. Watching the destruction, she calls the monsters her little ones with a very creepy smile on her face. Swirling high into the sky, the last will of Vulcania manifests as a deadly storm over the battlefield. Known as the creator of monster weapons, the crazy girl promises to turn the beasts into beautiful equipment. Swinging a giant sword with a glowing eye, Yuta complains about the work but demands extra pay for the trouble. Exploding with power, the ground shatters as the heroes land a finishing blow to end the intense fight. A massive horned monster prepares to fight while the dark and dangerous surroundings start to tremble. Suddenly, a giant swirl of water crashes down from the sky to hit the beast with incredible force. Everything explodes into a massive splash when the powerful liquid strike finally connects with the target. Looking at the deep crater left by one strike, the figures wonder if someone stronger will ever show up. Holding a shattered handle, the red-haired warrior tells her small companion that the tool he crafted just broke. Reacting with a loud scream, the girl refuses to take the blame while looking completely stressed out by the failure. Smiling again, the champion mentions that she gathered items anyway and starts walking away with her spear. Behind them stands a massive collection of blades and poles because the lady still has plenty of gear to use. Then the fighter suggests heading back to the workshop so they can start working on some fresh equipment. Inside the forge, clanging sounds fill the area as the heat from the furnace keeps the room glowing red. Gripping a heavy black hammer, the blacksmith gets ready to strike the glowing metal with all her strength. Wearing her protective goggles, the girl slams the tool down while sparks fly everywhere in the room. Catching her breath after the hard work, the woman wipes away the sweat and feels relieved that she finally finished. Raising a glowing orange blade, the worker asks her friend if she felt the strange power coming from the sword. Lying down on the floor, the grumpy companion just complains about how annoying the training session feels for her. Looking at the scene, a red-haired girl remembers someone and calls him that guy. Inside the workshop, she holds a sword and realizes that he has finally returned. Walking through the gates, a cheerful blonde hero receives a warm welcome from the crowd. Arriving at a famous place, the group enters the village where the best blacksmiths live. Scanning the area, they see the legendary street known as the Blacksmith Road. In the busy market, they notice the high-quality gear and unique weapons everywhere. Smiling brightly, the blue-haired girl claims this is a holy land for all adventurers. While looking around, the protagonist mentions that the vibe is different from the rumors. Pointing ahead, the small guide shows them the way to a specific blacksmith shop. Outside the building, they see a sign for the place called Half Love. Entering the store, the team notices that nobody seems to be around at the moment. Instead of leaving, the young warrior asks his friends about those scary stories. Rubbing his chin, the blonde boy expected the masters to be much rougher than this. Because of the strict laws, the guide explains the rules that everyone must follow. Suddenly, the shop owner Baron Brook appears and says the rumors are true. The shop owner asks the group what kind of legendary items they are looking for today. Smiling, the blonde hero mentions they are actually searching for something called a monster weapon. Hearing this, the merchant gets annoyed and claims they do not deal with that kind of crazy stuff. He yells for them to leave since those items are forbidden, and he refuses to risk his business for cash. With a dark expression, the warrior says he knows the secret location and the special marks on the blade. The blue-haired girl behind him feels a sudden chill when she notices how scary his face has become. Looking completely different, the hero starts acting very strange while a red light shines in his eye. His companion realizes the situation is bad because he has been changing ever since he found that new gear. She begs him to stop and warns that breaking the rules of the masters will only bring big trouble. Suddenly, the boy attacks his own friend and says he has no more time to waste on her talking. Walking away, he mentions that 2 sacrifices should be plenty to get what he wants from this place. The last member of the crew is shaking with fear while he wonders why his leader is doing this. Swiveling around, the blonde guy threatens to keep taking lives until someone finally gives him the info. Holding a creepy sword made of flesh, he shows a terrifying smile that proves he is no longer himself. Screaming a weird name, he releases a massive wave of dark energy that swallows the entire room. The story begins in a peaceful town filled with old buildings and industrial pipes, but everything is about to change. Suddenly, a massive flash of light explodes and tears the entire city apart in an instant. Trapped under heavy rubble, a man looks around and wonders how such a tragedy could happen to them. Trembling with fear, the survivor stares at the sky while sensing a dark presence coming his way. Emerging from the smoke, a giant red monster covered in eyes appears and screams with pure rage. Terrified citizens run for their lives and scream because the beast is chasing everyone down the street. Chaos spreads as the fleshy creature attacks the crowd while no one seems strong enough to stop it. Standing amidst the ruins, a young warrior holds a strange organic blade and refuses to back down. Looking at the red sword, the people say it is a forbidden item that no human should ever touch. Shouting from the ground, the old man warns that using the weapon will slowly corrupt the fighter's mind. Ignoring the warning, the hero walks forward because he is determined to finish the mission at any cost. Staring at the sharp edges, the blonde boy feels a strange power pulsing through his entire body. Remembering the past, the protagonist looks at the ground where another warrior once fell in battle. Deep inside his head, a dark voice tells the boy to use the monster's strength to reach his goals. Raising the blade high, the fighter realizes that he finally has the power he always wanted to win. Lunging forward with a red blade, the warrior screams that he wants to become a real hero for everyone to see. Sparks fly everywhere as the weapons clash together, making a huge noise that echoes through the battlefield. Fighting against a girl with horns, the young man shows off his strength while trying to overpower his opponent. Looking confused, the blonde fighter stares at his enemy and wonders who she really is and why she is here. Appearing suddenly, the red-haired lady greets her weapon like a mother and calls it her lovely little baby. Smiling at the blade, the girl mentions that its performance is still perfect despite being away for so long. Gritting his teeth in anger, the protagonist feels frustrated because he cannot understand what is happening. Swinging a massive hammer, the lady says oops while jumping back to avoid getting hit by the sharp sword. Landing on the ground, the warrior mentions how they are already fighting despite just meeting for the first time. Turning to the old man, the fighter complains about him taking in customers who only bring trouble along. Telling her friend to protect the elder, the lady prepares herself for another round of this intense combat. Begging the warrior to stop, the elder reminds her about the dangerous taboo that she should never ever use. Feeling annoyed, the woman argues that following those old rules only brought them bad luck and many problems. Charging her hammer with glowing electricity, the lady yells about how much she hates the rules of the road. Attacking with everything she has, the girl screams that she does not care about any laws anymore and hits hard. Suddenly, a giant explosion rocks the entire area while fire spreads across the broken ground. Crouching on the hot rocks, the swordsman realizes they are standing right above a dragon vein. Looking up at the rubble, the young fighter sees his opponent standing among many blades. Walking through the flames, the girl asks if these were the items he wanted to find. Surrounding the red-haired girl are countless legendary masterpieces that she created herself. Noticing the powerful monster weapons, the adventurer laughs with a crazy look in his eyes. Grabbing her massive hammer, the female smith confirms his guess with a confident smile. Since the boy got the answer right, she decides to give him a special reward for his effort. Swinging her arm with force, the warrior launches a glowing attack directly at his face. Barely dodging the strike, the traveler feels the intense heat of the energy passing by him. Spinning another weapon in her hand, the lady asks why he is trying to run away now. Moving quickly to stay alive, the blonde hero struggles as more gear comes flying his way. Laughing at his panic, the red-haired fighter tells him not to act so humble during battle. Releasing more of her collection, the blacksmith prepares many flying discs to end the fight. Facing the incoming projectiles, the young man tries to defend against the wave of metal. Standing there injured, the blonde warrior calls his opponent trash while holding his creepy living sword. Screaming with pure rage, the young fighter loses his mind and yells at the enemy for being so bold. Swinging that massive red blade, the boy demands his foe to give up everything right now. Suddenly, a giant creature with many eyes appears from the shadows to scare everyone on the battlefield. Watching the beast, the red-haired girl mocks the weak power because she expected a much bigger challenge. Grabbing her own gear, the female warrior prepares to demonstrate the real method to handle such a tool. Tightening her grip on the weapon, the lady is ready to unleash a force that no one can stop. Looking ahead with a scary smile, the fighter tells the god of the dead to bow down before her. Releasing a massive burst of energy, many green ghostly hands start rising from the ground to attack. Grabbing the monster, those spirit arms start pulling the creature down into the dark abyss below. Dragging the target away, the spectral power completely overwhelms the giant beast in seconds. Staring in total shock, the blonde boy realizes his summon was just eaten by that strange magic. Trapped by the same shadows, the young man panics when the green energy begins to catch him too. Begging to be released, the hero struggles against the multiple limbs that are dragging him into the floor. Explaining the secret, the narrator says that using these special tools requires a sacrifice of your own life source. Looking pretty scary, the red-haired girl says that using such a dark power is not something a normal human should ever do. Standing over her defeated opponent, she mentions how he saved her a lot of work by bringing that special sword to her. This specific weapon is known to eat the mind of anyone who uses it because it is actually a forbidden taboo. Terribly injured and confused, the guy on the ground asks who this mysterious woman really is while he struggles to breathe. With a calm smile on her face, the girl introduces herself by saying she is just a simple blacksmith from around here. Suddenly, someone screams at the shop and demands they bring out the most powerful gear they have in the entire place. This village is full of crazy people who fight massive monsters while using their heavy hammers as deadly weapons. Even the small girl with horns shows off her insane skills by slicing through enemies with a glowing blue energy blade. Every single person living in this town is way stronger than any average crafter, and they are all ready for a fight. Getting closer to the guy, she calls him a fake hero while showing off a very confident and slightly scary expression. She welcomes the visitor to the famous Blacksmith Road while many workers stand behind her in the middle of the smoke. After the chaos ends, the girl looks quite exhausted as she walks away from the large stone gate of the city. Even though she saved everyone, the redhead got kicked out for breaking the rules and making a huge mess in the process. Her small companion gets angry and kicks her because she also got banished from the area for no reason at all. This is Gurencia Yuta, who is a master at making weapons, but her personality is described as being a total disaster. Facing betrayal, the red-haired girl screams in frustration while the narrator explains she has no clue why this happened. Crafting special monster gear was actually a forbidden act, plus the older smiths were very jealous of her great skills. Greedy people lived on that street and their bad nature was enough to ruin everything for the poor apprentice. Trying to corrupt a young talent from the start was their goal, but the girl promises to get revenge on those old men. Standing nearby, the horned friend asks what the plan is since all the powerful gear was taken away and destroyed. Swinging her heavy tool, the blacksmith declares she will smash that entire area while her buddy thinks it is a bad idea. Grabbing her arm, the companion tries to stop her from blowing up the town, although the redhead is totally out of control. Suddenly a creepy giant eye starts to open right in the middle of the hammer, and it looks very scary. Breaking apart the outer shell of the weapon reveals a glowing red sphere that surprises both of the girls. Confused by the sudden activation, the traveler wonders why this specific item is reacting like that right now. Recalling a past encounter, she mentions the beast named Elzina that used magic tracking to hunt them down before. Taking the eye of that creature was a genius move since it was modified to find any stolen weapon in the area. Shooting a bright beam of light toward the city gates, the device shows that something is hidden inside the walls. Looking surprised, the horned girl asks why the light points to the street if all the gear was supposedly gone. Smiling wickedly, the protagonist realizes a hidden weapon is still there and she plans to get it back immediately. Ash looks annoyed while the girl asks if he kept one of those monster weapons hidden away from everyone. Drawing a flaming red sword, the warrior asks about the next part of their plan for the upcoming battle. Standing together with their heavy gear, the two girls prepare to cause a massive scene in the central area. With creepy smiles, they both agree to tear the entire street of the famous craftsman apart right now. Long ago, the blades made by the elder named Colt Karen were known as the absolute best in the whole city. However, a random adventurer laughs at his work and says he expected more from such a famous blacksmith. Looking at the weak blade, the man realizes his reputation and skills have fallen quite a lot lately. Even low-level warriors start to look down on him, and things just keep getting worse every single day. Everything changed during one specific afternoon when the old master saw something truly terrifying nearby. Surrounded by strange hands, a young boy screams while holding onto a sword that looks alive and creepy. Watching from the shadows, the elder witnesses the power of what people call a monster weapon for the first time. Covered in red stains, the girl named Yuta stands there because using such a cursed item is not for sane people. This single piece of equipment is strong enough to destroy a whole village without any help from others. Seeing that overwhelming strength, the old man starts to crave that power for himself and his own forge. Because she broke the ultimate taboo, the leaders order the permanent banishment of the girl from the street. Shouting at the old men, the girl warns them to stay away from her gear while things seem to move along just fine. Thinking to himself, the elder decides to use every bit of his authority to get what he wants right now. Sitting alone in the dark room, the old man looks at the monster weapon he finally managed to steal for himself. Grinning with a creepy face, the guy believes he is once again the best blacksmith in the entire street. Suddenly, a metal cover starts to shake on the ground because someone is trying to come out from below. Peeking out of the hole, the young girl checks if the coast is clear so they can move forward without being seen. Climbing out of the secret tunnel, the red-haired girl explains how this path was originally made just to test her gear. Looking at the huge building in the distance, they wonder if that is where the thieves are hiding all the stolen items. Taking out some binoculars, the companion prepares to see who is behind this mess while the warrior waits patiently. Watching the workers carry heavy boxes, the duo realizes this is a huge operation and not just some small group of thieves. Handing over the lens, the girl asks her friend to take a look and confirm who is running the show over there. Focusing on the target, the red-haired fighter spots a man named Colt Karen working hard under the bright light. Seeing him handle the blade, she realizes the villain is trying to copy her monster weapon design to steal her secrets. Holding her massive hammer, the hero understands this is a desperate move from a failing forge trying to survive. Refusing to call the guards, the girl decides she will simply smash the entire place to pieces and leave nothing behind. Starting the scene, the red-haired girl and her friend talk about a secret third person joining them for the mission. Looking very confident, the warrior says they can definitely use this new plan to their advantage during the fight. Meanwhile, the bald old man is busy looking at monster weapons while planning to produce them in large quantities. Suddenly, a worker rushes inside the room screaming that a girl named Yuta is currently making a huge mess. Down in the secret lab, the red-haired fighter is destroying everything and attacking anyone who tries to stop her. Searching for her target, she calls out for the bald thief while wearing a very scary smile on her face. One of the guards charges at her while calling the girl a banished exile because he thinks he can win the duel. Taking a direct hit, the warrior is pushed back by the force of the strike as the battle gets more intense. Falling to the ground from the impact, she skids across the floor, but she is not ready to give up just yet. Rising from the dust, the fighter prepares herself for the next round while staring down her enemies in the room. Stepping out of the shadows, the old man greets the girl and says it has been a long time since they last met. Grinning like a villain, the blacksmith says his shop will be the most famous one thanks to the weapons he stole. For his plan to work, the greedy man believes this technology must stay hidden and only belong to him alone. Suddenly, some scary mercenaries with masks appear and they look ready to take down the girl for their boss. Recognizing the dangerous group, the warrior realizes the old man is even more of a thief than she originally thought. Surrounded by masked killers, a scary leader tells the group they have to die right now in this dark place. Looking tired and beat up, the red-haired girl realizes she has no choice but to unleash her secret trump card. Suddenly, a hooded enemy jumps from the sky while aiming his sharp blade directly at her head to finish the job. Preparing for the worst, she calls out for 1,000 arms as her weapon starts glowing with intense orange heat. The attacker seems a bit shocked when he notices the massive change in the energy coming from the young warrior. With a giant swing, she releases a massive wave of blaze that blows back everything in its path with pure force. Standing tall with her burning blade, she brags about her perfect defense and how cool her new move looks to them. Before she can even finish talking, another assassin appears from a blind spot to catch her off guard from behind. Taking a direct hit, the fighter grunts in pain as the heavy strike forces her to slide back across the ground. Realizing they are playing dirty, she gets annoyed because they dared to attack while she was explaining her power. Looking around, she sees even more mercenaries closing in and realizes these underground guys are truly dangerous. Holding her ground becomes a struggle against these heartless villains who do not even care about their own lives. Smiling despite the danger, the redhead asks if they are focusing a bit too much on her instead of watching out. Out of nowhere, a horned ally leaps into the battle to surprise the assassins and help her friend win this fight. With a big grin, the girl tells them to show some respect since the real battle is only just beginning for everyone. Swinging her blade with massive power, the warrior forces all the enemies back as she clears the path ahead. Gripping the handle firmly, she prepares for the next strike while the weapon glows with a strange light. Showing her true skills, the senior mercenary looks ahead with a sharp gaze because she is still very dangerous. Jumping high into the air, the girl aims for her target while the old man watches with a surprised look. Rain begins to pour over the dark city streets and the atmosphere gets much heavier during the fierce battle. Smirking despite the danger, the old man says it is a shame while the blades move closer to his face. Moving with great speed, she fights several hooded warriors at once since they are trying to surround her. Engulfed in bright flames, the fighter calls out a special move while she prepares to burn everything down. Unleashing a massive wave of fire, the girl strikes with her burning sword and lights up the whole area. Reacting with total shock, the elder realizes something is wrong because he did not expect this sudden move. Looking at the broken object, he understands the girl was aiming for the monster weapon the whole time. Landing smoothly on the ground, she distances herself from the group while they remain frozen in place. Turning toward her, the leader asks what she thinks she is doing as he tries to understand her plan. Showing a rude gesture, the red-haired woman mocks the enemies for touching her precious items today. Standing tall with his arms crossed, the old man asks what will change now that one weapon is finally broken. Smiling wickedly, the girl asks if he really thinks monster bodies are the only materials used to craft gear. Startled by the statement, the old man looks confused and demands to know what she is talking about. Pointing at the floor, she explains that the weapon had a contract which broke along with the metal. Sweating nervously, the crafter remains clueless and asks for a better explanation of the situation. Mocking his intelligence, she laughs because he thought he could forge special gear with such a thick head. Explaining the craft, she says that real masters must form bonds with powerful beings from other realms. Watching the broken piece glow, she mentions that a simple thief could never reach her level of skill. Releasing a massive amount of energy, she declares that no one can trespass into her sacred territory. Suddenly, a massive portal opens in the middle of the room and leaves everyone there completely shocked. Emerging from the darkness, a terrifying creature speaks and says it has been a long time since they met. Looking up in absolute terror, the old man wonders what kind of monster is coming through the magical gate. Appearing before their eyes, a giant blue dragon reveals its form and towers over the entire area. Feeling a sharp pain, the beast realizes that the magic from its old tooth has finally reconnected. Calling it Beliar, she asks if the dragon feels pain now that the magic sealing spell is finally gone. Realizing the truth, the blacksmith shouts that they broke the weapon on purpose to cause this disaster. From high above, the massive dragon wonders if those tiny humans caused all the trouble while they scream in fear. Smiling mischievously, the red-haired girl praises her powerful guest and asks it to teach those bad people a lesson for her. With a heavy stomp, the giant monster steps forward to attack those fools, and the lady watches with a wicked grin. Because its anger is growing, the dark creature vows to wipe out every single one of those weaklings until nothing remains.